Carl, in the first video, we talked about the probate process, what probate is, and how when you have a will and a person passes away, their possessions, their assets, everything goes into an estate. And inside that estate, the probate court process controls it. And they have to pay the creditors, they have to pay the lawyers, all that kind of stuff. All the expenses have to come out first, and then whatever's left over is what you and Kirsten will inherit as your inheritance. So that's what you're going to have to work with. Now, in the next video, we talked about stages of life that we go through. And the stage of life that you're in is like a college kid leaving home for the first time. It's like you have to leave the nest.
But somewhere down below, their mom is urging them to leave the only home they know, so they can live the life they were born for. And that persuades them to do something that seems a little crazy.
Just like these little birds, Carl, it's time to leave the nest. It's time to take that leap of faith. And when you leave with a suitcase and just a few possessions, and you go off to college and you live in a dorm. And that dorm or a shared apartment probably has 6 guys living in it, and 2 in each bedroom. That's the way it was with me when I went to Ricks College. And that's because that's your budget. That's what you can afford. Kids don't leave home and go to a full house all to themselves. They have shared space because that's what's affordable. My son, Richard, that's getting married, he has a job. He's an accountant, and that's a pretty good job, but he is renting a room from a family. So he pays $500 a month, and he just has this one bedroom. That's his, and the shared space. So you do what you have to do to match your budget. We talked about a budget and the necessity of using a budget as a tool so that you can know what you can afford and you can manage your money and stay out of debt. And we've also reviewed the dangers of credit card debt, and we need to re-emphasize that and understand what debt does and the kind of slavery state it puts you in. So it's very critical that you understand what you can afford, and then we can figure out what housing option is going to work for you. Carl, I'm going to review with you the self-reliance principles that you're familiar with that are taught by the church, and we're going to review those, and I'm going to encourage you to go sign up for a class and get re-involved with that. The leaders of your ward will help you with that effort, but we're going to review some of the highlights, and then I want you to go in and study it on your own and start applying those principles in your life, okay? So next, we're going to dive in and we're going to look at housing options and the pros and cons of each one and help you discover which one is actually affordable to you, which one is going to fit your budget, keep you free from debt, and help you move forward in your life. And that's what we're going to do right now, okay? Carl, we recognize that nobody enjoys a reduction in lifestyle like you're facing, but you're in a new economic cycle of your life, and so we have to deal with that reality. Carl, according to the budget numbers you've given me, your Social Security check of $635 a month is your guaranteed income. Anything else you might earn is a bonus, and right now that's your only source of income, so that's the number we're going to work with. Our goal is to become self-reliant. That's what the Lord is teaching us through His prophets, And that's what we're striving to achieve. Getting a job and earning a paycheck is a stepping stone in the right direction. Along with earning money, you also need to learn how to manage money, and staying out of debt and eliminating debt from your life is critically important. Being in debt is stressful. It's a heavy burden to carry. To be in debt, you're a slave to your debtors. And this is how you get in debt. They make it really easy for you to get in debt, but it's agony, it's entrapment. You cannot survive if you spend more money than you make, because you will be in debt. Borrowing money, you have to pay it back, plus interest. Debt is like a ball and chain. It enslaves you. The debt cycle is you see something you want, you don't have the money, so you use your credit card to buy it, and debt is now your friend. It's a trap. Remember, the credit card people are fishing and you're the fish, so don't take the bait. This is what the bait looks like. Don't bite it, Carl. You cannot afford it. I do not spend my money at places like this. You can't afford it. Remember what J. Reuben Clark Jr., as an apostle of the Lord Jesus Christ, taught in General Conference, April 1938. Interest never sleeps, nor sickens, nor dies. It never goes to the hospital. It works on Sundays and holidays. It never takes a vacation. It never visits nor travels. It has no love, no sympathy. It is as hard and soulless as a granite cliff. Once in debt, interest is your companion every minute of the day and night. You cannot shun it or slip away from it. You cannot dismiss it. It yields neither to entreaties, demands, nor orders. And whenever you get in its way or cross its course or fail to meet its demands, it crushes you. So, Carl, don't be fooled. You may think everyone is eating at McDonald's, but it's not true. We, my wife and I, do not eat at fast food places more than twice a year. If it ain't in your budget, you don't buy it. I don't care how good it looks or how tempting it is. Debt is a trap. Carl, you've done a good job with your Quicken records so that you can understand what your debt is and what the interest rates are. The next step is to stop incurring more new debt, and Jeffrey Holland talks about doing plastic surgery to accomplish that. The Lord's approach to self-reliance is outlined with these 4 steps in money management. This set of questions makes it really easy to decide if you should buy or rent. If you cannot answer yes to each of these questions, renting in your current situation is probably your better option. Carl, this is a seller net sheet that kind of estimates the closing costs and what you will net at closing. So based on this selling price, because there's a $3,000 seller concession that came out of, so it ends up to be this amount. So we estimate that your half of the sale of the house will be about $130,000 minus any expenses like lawyer fees or whatever. Anne Marie will manage that depending on, the expenses at the very end when the probate closes September the 3rd. So this will give you kind of a rough idea of what to expect, okay? Okay, Carl, let's review your goals, your objectives, and your highest priorities. First, you want to pay off your credit card debt. Second, you need to secure affordable, sustainable housing. Third, you need to obtain employment to expand your income. And fourth, you want to maintain your nest egg as a safety net financially for the rest of your life. Carl, why do you think I put paying off your credit card debt as your first priority? It's because when you make application to rent, whether it's renting a lot in a mobile home park or renting an apartment or purchasing a house, they're going to look at your debt to income ratio. And right now, your debt to income ratio is not very good. So that's why you need to solve that problem first in order to obtain housing. Now we're going to look at some housing options. Since we started out in mobile home parks, I'm going to look at a couple different scenarios based on the purchase price and compare the long-term cost of owning such a property. And then we're going to take a look at apartments and the option of renting an apartment. Carl, we started out looking at mobile home parks, and back in May we took a tour, and you can see where it says status here. These two are active, this is under contract, and these are all sold. So back in early May when we made this trip, there were several properties to look at. But today the active ones are, there's one here, and this is in Apple Ridge Retirement Village, so you have to be 55, so we can't look at that one. That's for $47,000. This is the one we looked at twice that you liked for $105. It still has not sold, which tells me it's overpriced. And this one that we didn't look at because of the price on it is another double wide in Berthoud. So those two are in Berthoud, but they're $105, $136 on the price. The less expensive ones are the ones AB backup. That means it's under contract. So $28,000 under contract. This one is the double wide that we went and looked at right next to Chris Yerk, and it went days to offer is one. It went under contract the day after we were there. And this one we did tour down in Berthoud, and it is under contract, and that one was fairly new. It's built in 2017. Yeah, so it's pretty new. But that's no longer an option. So the options today are way out of your budget, and you still have the lot rent to deal with, and rent is rent. So that's the mobile home park picture. Right now there really isn't anything, even if we thought that was an option. It's not an option because unless we could find a for sale by owner one. I decided since rent is rent, whether it's a mobile home lot or whether it's an apartment, it's still rent. In order to protect your nest egg and keep it in the bank, let's look at this option. So here is a one bedroom, one bath for $800 a month, and it's in Loveland. So here is a rental option that would avoid having to spend $50,000 to $100,000. You could keep that money in the bank. So this is the possibility of renting an apartment. Carl, another option is to move to a place where housing is more affordable. This is where your cousin Bill and Kim Talibert live, and I'm going to show you a house that is in that area where it's a whole lot cheaper than Colorado. So that is an option. Here is a house in Griffith, Indiana, and you can buy this one for $58,000. It's a condo, and the condo association pays for your heat, garbage, water, snow removal, lawn care, outside maintenance, and even includes laundry. So here you have an option that is perhaps more affordable, where you could actually buy and own a house for $58,000. Okay? So there you have it, Carl, that comparison of buying a $100,000 mobile home, $50,000 mobile home, not buying anything and just renting an apartment, or moving to an area that has lower cost housing like Indiana near your uncle or your cousin Bill. So the trade-off is you have more room, you have less safety net in the bank. So you have to decide what your priority is, what you feel the most comfortable with. Do you want more money in the bank to last you throughout your life? Or do you want to sacrifice that for more room and so forth? So the decision is yours, and I'll help you. I really can't find an apartment for you. That's something you need to do on your own, because I need to be working to earn money for my family as well. So, Carl, one of your concerns is that you're not going to have room for all your mother's stuff, and that's a fact. You're not. The pioneers asked themselves that same question. They were allowed 17 pounds. So if your stuff doesn't fit in this handcart, you're not going to be able to take it with you. That's it. You're going to be living in a smaller place, and that's a reality, okay? You're dealing with the realities of mortality like everybody else. For the first 50 years of your life, you were living free and easy. Your angel mother took care of everything. Now that she's gone to heaven, you are on your own. It's up to you to learn how to fend for yourself. The principles of self-reliance are part of the Lord's plan for us. He wants us to work and learn for ourselves how to manage our resources. We need to be wise stewards and willing to develop our talents. The church makes the educational resources you need readily available to us for free. It's up to us to engage, participate, learn, and apply the self-reliance principles. The first and most important principle is that our expenses must not exceed our income. Carl, do you see how your household income has changed? And do you see how that change has put you in a new and very different economic phase of your life? On July 27th, your mom's house will close and be sold to another family, and so now it's time for you to make a decision on where you're going to go next. So, which of these options do you want to pursue?